Hello and welcome to People Online. This is the sixth video in a series of presentations on competency based HRM. The topic for today's presentation is competency based development. It would cover how we can reduce learning scrap by following a competency based approach to learning and development. Target audience. The target audience for this series of presentations would include students of MBA HR, industry practitioners who would like to implement competency based HRM, and industry practitioners who would like to get the best out of an existing model. Contents. Today we would be covering what is learning scrap, competency based learning, competency based learning needs in organizations with a competency model, competency based learning needs in organizations without a model, approaches to development, and assessing progress. Learning scrap. It is a term popularized by Wick, Pollock, and Jefferson through their well researched book, Six Disciplines of Breakthrough Learning. The authors use this term to refer to unutilized learning owing to impediments in translating learning to action. We would like to use this concept in a larger context to include all learning efforts that are wasted. So we would also include cases where the training is launched with much fanfare, but it is actually not required. Many of you can perhaps relate to this from your own experience of having been called into irrelevant training programs. Competency-based learning. Here, the training systems revolve around competencies. Employees undergo assessment of their competencies. The competency gaps are then addressed through learning interventions. On completion of the learning cycle, typically 3 to 4 years, the assessment is repeated. The success of the learning and development program could be assessed from the extent of improvement in the competency scores that can be seen in the subsequent assessment. Competency-based learning needs in organizations with a model. Annual appraisals would show the competency gaps for every competency. Additionally, a potential appraisal ought to be carried out every 3 or 4 years. As explained earlier, there are two options here. A 360-degree assessment can be carried out. Assessors are asked to rate using a form that clearly spells out the competencies, definitions, behavioral indicators, and a scale. And the other option could be a development center that can also be carried out on the same set of competencies. Competency-based learning needs in organizations without a model. For organizations without a competency model, functional training needs may be assessed through appraisal or a survey. For managerial development or behavioral training, the following method may be used. We can identify two groups of employees, excellent and adequate, based on clearly laid down criteria. Conduct behavioral event interview. Find out the differentiating competencies. Let L&D activities be designed to strengthen the differentiating competencies identified. BI transcripts also become the source of inputs for designing case studies, role plays, and activities in any training programs that may be designed. An illustration. A financing company was planning to run behavioral training program for its first-line salespeople. They did not have a competency model ready. Two groups of exemplary and adequate performers were identified, taking the rating of the sales managers, moderated by their leaders. Two samples were drawn and the employees underwent BEI. The BEI data, once coded and statistically analyzed, revealed the following differentiating competencies. So in this illustration, it's actually a table showing the attributes. On the left, you see the attributes. Totally, we could see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 attributes. that came out of the BEI data. I mean, these were the most significant attributes. And out of the 10, we could see that the highlighted ones, totally four in number, they were actually differentiating. So you have the attribute column on the left, you have the displayed in excellent group and displayed in adequate group. So basically, the frequency. And for example, assertiveness, we could clearly see that in the excellent group, the frequency is 4, whereas displayed in the adequate group, it's only 1. And the other three differentiating competencies, we could see 3-0. Displayed in excellent group, frequency is 3, and displayed in adequate group, 0. And based on this input, the training design was somewhat like this. This is, of course, a high level design. We could see that the training would have to have 4 modules, and we have assertiveness, need for achievement, initiative and drive, and persuasiveness. The 4 modules which emerged out of the findings of the BEI exercise. Approaches to development. It may be a good idea to form individual development plans, also called IDPs, but because of the rigor and the expenses involved, monetary and otherwise, when I say otherwise, I mean time, it may be a good idea to restrict this to talent pool members. Assessing progress. For assessing progress over the intermediate and long term, following options are usually exercised. For the intermediate term, appraisals may be giving some indication about the extent of progress. And for the long term, 360-degree assessment or a development center would give a clearer picture about the progress or the lack of it. Summary. So, in this presentation, we covered what is learning scrap, competency based learning, competency based learning needs in organizations with a model, competency based learning needs in organizations without a model, approaches to development, assessing progress. Thank you for watching. If you found the video to be useful, do like, share, and subscribe. Press the bell icon to stay tuned in for the next in the series of 8 videos. Our next video is competency based performance management. Until then, goodbye.